What is happening, y'all? This is another episode of the Cogcast podcast coming at you from the Can Ham over at the lovely and hot and never gonna rain again 40. I don't think it's gonna rain again. I really don't. It's been crazy, the rain situation here. Yesterday was so promising. We saw it hours ahead of time. Just bright red globs, just huge, headed straight for us. We're like, we're going to get rain today.
Even Saturday. Even Saturday.
Y'all saw the picture of the rainbow I posted. We didn't get a drop that day.
And Petals from the Past got a gully washer.
Gully washer. Yeah, they did. What you doing? Getting you a piece of paper?
Yep.
So, yesterday, it was headed straight for us. Straight for us. I mean, just red storms headed straight for us. As it got to us, it would fizzle out and go around us, and we didn't get a drop. The wind started blowing, stuff started flying everywhere. No rain.
Somebody sent a funny, I don't ever know if
Meme?
it's email or
message or whatever.
And they said that they had put a bubble around Cog Hill for the bad weather not to hit us, and they forgot to lift it, and they were sorry.
Lift it, please, because we need it bad.
We do.
This is today's Monday. This will go out on Tuesday. Probably around the later end of this week. This will be 4 weeks without one drop of rain.
Now you're telling a story because what were we doing? We were setting up the panels for the cattle panels for the rose arch in front of the greenhouse. Yeah. And you said not one drop.
Oh.
There were maybe 10 drops.
So we've gotten 10 drops of rain in 4 weeks.
10 drops of rain in 4 weeks. You just need to clarify now.
You need to clarify that. You're right. I don't want to mislead anybody.
No, you shouldn't, because I will tell you, when those 10 drops hit me, I got a little chilled for a second.
It did cool off yesterday.
It did, because, that rain was coming, and that lady didn't lift that bubble, and it went around.
Did she say when she was going to lift it?
She said she just forgot, and she had lifted it in the house.
When was this message?
I don't know if it was an email or a message or whatever, but...
Was it yesterday?
It was obviously when you posted a story about yesterday. The rain.
It was yesterday then. That's when it was. So, thank you for... And listen... Don't worry about putting that bubble around us for bad weather.
No,
because
we got you covered.
We got a surprise today. It wasn't a surprise. We knew it was coming.
And we told y'all it was coming. We got a storm shelter today.
Our storm shelter was delivered and installed today.
With no problems, no issues, just all positive, all perfection.
And that video will come out on Wednesday.
That's right. And I can't believe that you realized today's Monday.
Yeah. I can't either.
I mean, I'm not being ugly by all means, but he just doesn't know what day it is ever. And for some reason, he knows today's Monday.
I do. And
maybe he has big plans.
Well, I tell you, I know it was Monday because I just posted a beautiful picture of a plum sunflower that I took with the sun setting behind it. And I started thinking what day it was. And I knew Brant and the builders were here today, and they wasn't here yesterday. So I was like, today's Monday.
Today, it just restarted all over.
Yes.
We started the Cog Hill construction.
That's right.
We had plumber here today, electrician here today. The storm shelter was set up today.
Yes.
The AC people were here today.
Yes.
And Brandon, the builders, were here today.
That's right. And if there had been any painting that needed to be done, they would have been here too.
However, that is done.
It was mad chaos.
It was. When the plumber got here, which was a little bit after everybody else, he said, wow, y'all got a lot going on today.
It was crazy. It really was. It was crazy. It kind of reminded me back when I was working at Reliable at the dealership, when you had a lot of stuff going on. And so it wasn't like that I was, going, oh my gosh. I was just kind of just hitting the groove. And was, talking to everybody that needed to be talked to and answering questions and that kind of thing. So it was a little exciting this morning, kind of.
It was. Brant had some extra help with him.
He did.
They were able to get more done than what they would have with just him and Dude.
That's right.
And we're always, happy when that happens. But Also, it's been hot, and
All right, so we're back. We had a situation. The tanks needed to be drained in the camper all of a sudden.
yeah, Marycarl was taking a shower, and she said she was sorry to interrupt, but there was a little tank issue, so Jason took care of that, and here we are, but we don't know what we were talking about.
We're talking about Brent and the dude and the extra help, and that's the last I kind of remember.
That's but it always seems like when you're trying to, at least this happens to me.
Yeah.
Forever. For all my life. When I try to think back on what I was trying to remember, it's never the last thing. It's like the next to the last thing.
Next to the last thing.
You were talking about reliable, and you were talking about when things go in a group. Anyway, wherever we were, we're sorry. But Brant had extra help today, so you can only imagine they were able to get double the work done.
They were. It was
hopefully tomorrow he will have that help again, but we don't know.
We don't know.
He usually has guys that work like shift work, and they might have a day off, and they, want to pick up a little extra. So that's what I think.
Yeah, that's normally what happens. And but thankful for all of that. And Thursday or Friday, Mr. Greg.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Uncle
that.
Greg.
Greg is back on location.
He's back. He is back on location.
He's going to be installing our septic system.
He is going to be installing our septic tank.
And he is so kind and courteous when it comes to knowing that we have gardens that are going to be behind our house. And he's making sure that none of the septic system interferes with any of our garden.
Yep. Me and him got out there, I don't know what day it was now, and
I was
looked
talking
around.
About how did you remember what day it was?
Yeah.
That too, huh?
That too. And me and him were walking around back there, and he was like, now where you going to have your garden now? Because we're going to get this away from your garden.
And he did a wonderful job at mapping it out and figuring out where everything needed to go ahead of time.
Right.
So there won't be any confusion as far as, the little trail that goes away from the house that won't be near our plants.
He actually said that the first thing he's going to do is dig the hole and set the tank in.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he'll come back and do the lines. But he's going to put the tank in first.
Okay. So he'll go ahead and get the tank set this week.
He'll get the tank set this week.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that because I usually am doing something else when you men come together with ideas. So, and that's what happens.
Yeah, that's right.
We haven't done a podcast since we got the timbers for the potager garden.
Yes.
We did say that I had a surprise coming. It was 50 of something. Do you remember that?
That's right.
And people were guessing pine straw and different things like that.
Yes.
Well, we revealed the big surprise. It was those 50 timbers.
I think they're like 8.5, 9 foot long, 4x6s. Or are they bigger than that?
Well, I think they're probably.
It's a rectangle. It's not a square.
It's not a square, but I think
bigger
they're an
than
odd
4x6.
size. I think
It's
they're
bigger
like
than
5x7, maybe.
Maybe you're right, because they're big. They are really big, and thankful. I'm so thankful and grateful we got those things.
That's what I was going to get to.
Oh my gracious!
So we didn't go through the whole spiel about how we came about them and such as that, but we found them on Facebook. I found them on Facebook Marketplace, and I had been conversing with this guy on and off for probably 5 days, I guess.
That's right.
And he just never could get his schedule to where he was available for us to come take a look at them and load them up at the same time. So we had our trailer hooked up to our truck for 5 days because we knew
we're going to get these things.
We were going to get them. Mm-hmm. There was no sense in unhooking the trailer and then hooking it back up. So we left the trailer hooked up, and he called he messaged me one morning. It was about 6:30, and he said, "Would y'all like to come get the timbers today?" And I was like, "Sure." So we still got the trailer hooked up.
Right.
Didn't need to tell him any of that. So Jason and I went. Marycarl was taking care of our pigeons. We went and met him and looked at the timbers. Well, lo and behold, those things were heavy.
They're huge. They are. They're very, very heavy. They're really heavy.
They were banded together.
And 40? No, 20.
20 per bundle.
20 per bundle.
And there were 40 that were bundled, meaning 2 bundles, and there were 10 that were unbundled.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all, we didn't have a way to lift the thing, so we were going to have to break that band and load them up one by one on the trailer, which we were going to do.
And after conversing with this gentleman, he was going to help.
He was going to help, but he had a physical disability.
He did.
To where he didn't need to help.
No, but you could tell this guy was a hard worker and was a hustler. He said, look, it would be easier for me if I just bring them to y'all. And I was like, what?
Yeah, me too. I'm thinking I was a little upset because we had the trailer hooked up and we had been down a dirt road and we had to turn around a couple of times. But when it came to the end, I was very pleased that he decided to deliver them.
Yes, he said, I got to roll back, which is like a wrecker. The bed tilts down, and it's got a winch system on it, so we can pull, like it had a car, you could pull a car up on it.
All he had to do was hook a chain around them, around the post. They were all bundled together, and whoop, winch them up.
And he lived, 10 miles from us,
maybe?
It
took 7 minutes to get there.
Tilted that bed back, all the timbers came off, and he only did 20 at a time because they were so heavy.
Yeah, he did 20 at a time, and I think one of the reasons, besides the fact they were so heavy, was because once he winched one system up there, I call it a system, one bundle up there was no way he could winch the second bundle up there. So he brought 3 different trips worth of timbers is what we're going to call them, cross ties, whatever.
He did. He dropped off the 40, and he said he'd be back tomorrow and bring us the 10. Because you never know what you're going to meet on these Facebook or Craigslist or whatever. You just don't know. You have to be careful. You do have to be careful. And he told you said, well, here, let me give you the money for the 40. And he's like, oh, no, I'll just get it all tomorrow, and I'll make sure I got all of them delivered. And you were like, no, you've delivered 40. You're going to get paid for 40.
I told him, I said, look, you may not feel comfortable with taking the money until you deliver them all, but I don't feel comfortable with you leaving here without me paying you for what you've already done. And he agreed, and so we did that. And sure enough, the next morning he was back over here with the remaining 10.
I'm just grateful. I can't tell you.
I don't even think I told you that. He sent me a message later on that night and said, it was after that second delivery. He said, it was really nice to meet your husband and you today. And I thought that was
nice guy.
Just nice.
He really was really, really nice.
Just very nice.
Yes.
And we got a good deal on him, and he got what he wanted out of them. So it was a win-win situation for all. But I did want to know if we could get more if we needed them.
And he said he could get us more, and if he did hear of anything, or if he came across more, then he would definitely let us know. I think he does a lot of Facebook stuff.
Well,
I think he does.
Some people get burned on that, and we have actually gotten burned ourselves one time.
We have gotten burned.
But you just kind of have to be careful. And
that's right.
Speaking of that,
yes,
there is a group out there that
it's a page
that made me think about it. Facebook related.
There is a Facebook page that at one time was being ran by someone, and the page was was nice and everything. It's called Cog Squad / Cog Hill Farm Fan Club.
Yeah, Cog Squad / Cog Hill Farm Fan Club. Y'all don't join it because...
Don't join it. If you are joined to it, you may want to unjoin it. The person that started it, it looks like he hasn't been on there in months, several months. So no one is moderating it, and so therefore it's just being taken over by spam. And I see a lot of people impersonating us on there. I see people trying to... I don't know if the shirts... I saw somebody trying to sell a shirt that said Cog Squad on it that looked just like ours. I don't know if you click on that link, if it's a spam or a virus or whatever.
Don't do it.
Just if you're a part of that site, I would just get off of it and stay away from it.
It's not anything that we ever have... checked on.
Yes.
It's not anything that we've ever looked at.
Right.
Because we have no control over it.
We have no control. We have our own Facebook page. So
we do. So we just felt like we didn't need it because it would be something else for us to maintain. If we ever started conversing with people back and forth on there, then you'd be like, well, I asked you that on that, and you never answered me.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's not us.
Yeah, and it's no affiliate to us.
No affiliation with us whatsoever.
Yeah. So, anyways,
we hate it happen.
Yeah, and I think at one time it was a good site, and a lot of people went to it and enjoyed it. But now, like I said, it's not being ran by anybody, and it's just being taken over.
It has, and I see all these things sometimes. People will send me. You might want to check that out because they're asking to check a number between 1 and 100 and send me your email. And it's just scams.
It's all
just
scams.
And we hate it, but there's nothing we can do about it.
You can report the page, but I just doubt Facebook will ever do anything about it. We've run across that with when people do impersonate us. It's hard to get them taken down because it's all a robot. So when you report it, it goes to the system, and if they're not technically really doing anything wrong
then
except posting, the system says they're not doing anything wrong, so there's nothing wrong. I mean, you could start a Taylor Swift fan club. You could start a Blake Shelton fan club.
I'm sure there's a Lester fan club.
I'm sure there's.
I'm a survivor.
Yep.
Everybody has to deal with it at some point, and I hope nobody has been taken advantage of.
So just stay away from there because it's nothing but scammers.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then I was going to mention the conversation about us doing a live.
Yes.
And we didn't know if we were going to. Well, we were pretty confident we were going to do it.
Right.
However, these are going to be very spontaneous.
Yes, they're going to be spontaneous, and we're going to try streaming on both Facebook and YouTube at the same time. It'll just be randomness. It'll be us outside with the animals. We've done 2 on Facebook, and they did extremely well. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of people came on while we were on there. I think that first one may have got up to around
14,000?
15,000. I don't know what the second one did because I was kind of doing it by myself, and I didn't see. I just couldn't pay attention to it all because there's so much going on in that live feed that if you start watching it, then you'll lose focus. But I don't know how many people caught the second one, but I think it was just about the same amount of people.
Well,
so,
the first one, we had talked about doing it, but we didn't have any conversation between the two of us. Hey, let's do a live.
Right.
So I'm in the camper, and I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Just something random. And I walk outside, and Jason's holding his phone, and he said, "Hey, I'm recording a live." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And that's the way we want it.
That's the way we want it.
We just want it to be spontaneous and non-planned out.
Marycarl likes the live streams.
She does. I actually asked her after y'all got finished that evening, and we were all sitting around. I said, "You like the live stream?" And she said, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah, she likes the live streams a lot.
I think she doesn't feel uncomfortable sitting in front of she can walk around. She can go in and out.
The live, it's really fun because y'all can interact with the animals. Lester gave me a big tip on it because it was cutting in and out. Even though I have great internet here, it kept cutting in and out. And he sent me a message after the first one. He was like, "Turn your phone on Do Not Disturb." He
what
said
does that have to do
he said
with
there's a lot going on in that phone, is what he's been told. And that, like, if you're getting messages, there's a lot of background stuff going on, that it can interfere with the live stream because it's live and it pulls so much.
I was convinced that it was because the truck was parked up next to the fence and it was blocking the internet signal.
No. So when I did that, I was live streaming in Peach's hut.
Yes, in
sitting
Peach's porta hut.
Yeah.
But I think it's just so spontaneous and so us, and it just fits.
And if you want to know when a live stream's happening, supposedly, if you click the follow button on our Facebook page and actually follow us, you're supposed to get a notification when we do a live stream. YouTube it's the same thing. They call it different. You have to subscribe to YouTube, which is totally free if you watch us on YouTube. And there's a bell somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is, but I think if you hit subscribe, it asks you, do you want to be notified? But there's a little bell, usually under the video or somewhere. If you click that bell, that will give you notifications when we post a video and we do a live stream.
Somebody sent an email today, and they said, I've missed both of the lives. Could you possibly send out some kind of alert, maybe 3 hours ahead of time, to let people know you're going to do the live? And y'all, I just don't think that's possible.
I don't. The reason why, if for some reason we do pre-plan one, we can do a premiere. I know on YouTube that does a countdown.
Uh-huh.
So if we can set it to whatever we want to. So if we
Gotcha.
know we're going to do a live in 3 hours, we can actually let YouTube know, and it'll put a countdown and alert people, hey, Cog Hill's going to do a live in 3 hours.
Gotcha.
I'm sure Facebook, I'm not Facebook savvy like I am YouTube savvy. I have to depend on my old boy Lester, who is Facebook savvy. But actually, Lester's not as YouTube savvy. So me and him help each other out. So I may ask him about that, if I can do that on Facebook or not.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some kind of alert system.
I'm sure
But,
it is.
You know,
But if you do follow us, it alerts you and lets you know that we're live.
But I do think that that's the joy of the lives for us. It may not be for y'all, but like I still have my painting shorts on right now.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what time we were going to get finished. You were putting on doorknobs. I was, staining.
Yes.
Marycarl wanted me to go with her to her swing.
Yes.
We just didn't know what time things were going to, but it's so nice to not have a schedule.
It is, and that's why the podcast has been so erratic the last few months, and the reason why we dropped one of the podcasts.
We had to.
It had just gotten too overwhelming for us, and the videos, I know those, and we plan because the video is a big production per se,
Right.
but the podcast was kind of a filler,
Yeah.
but it had gotten where. I don't know.
It's just so much going on right now.
Way too much going on, and we're having zero time off.
Yeah.
Zero time. Me and Marycarl couldn't watch. We hadn't watched TV in a while. There was just so much going on that by the time I edit and everything, it's 9 o'clock when I come in, and Marycarl's in bed.
Right.
And this was happening 6 days a week.
That's right. And that's when we realized something's got to give.
Yes.
And I mean, our health too, not to
Right.
say that we were sick or anything like that, but you know as well as I do that if your body gets overworked, then you get run down.
Right.
And we don't want that.
And that's what makes the live so great is there's no editing, and it's live.
And
There's no
start or stop time.
no start or stop time. The last one I did was an hour and 10 minutes.
And I was so worried about it.
Yeah.
When we first started talking about it, I was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And after you started that one out spontaneously and I walked in on it and I saw how it worked, I was really just impressed.
Yeah. I got a selfie stick. It came in today that holds 2 phones. It's not the greatest quality in the world. I think I'm going to have to put some duct tape on it.
Holds 2 phones? I thought you were going to do 1 phone.
It holds 2 phones.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Because you needed. Okay,
Yep,
that's
yep.
right.
I
That's
have
right,
your
that's
phone
right.
and my phone, and we'll be going at it. One phone will be YouTube, and one phone will be Facebook. And but I'm going to put some tape around it, I believe. I don't think it's going.
I got some nice paint sticks that you could stick to the side of it and reinforce it a little bit.
I'll figure it out. I may look for see if I can find a better one, but this one's going to get me by this week.
Well, that's been our holdup about.
The YouTube part.
I don't know if you call it uploading it. Well, I guess not.
'cause
About
it's
living
streaming,
on
yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
is two phones. You have
2
to have a
phones.
way to.
And it's crazy because the Facebook is vertical, so your phone's like this. YouTube's horizontal.
Oh my gracious!
So when you live stream on YouTube, so it's just 2 totally different platforms and stuff.
yes, that is crazy. I
Anyways,
didn't
it
know
is
all
crazy.
that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
So I don't think we're going to have any breaks anytime soon, but I have a feeling when we get moved into the house, everything
gosh.
gets settled down, we might be back to a normal schedule
I hope so.
and add lives to it. I mean,
Yes.
who knows? I could be live making cornbread in the Cog Hill kitchen.
Seriously, we could do a lot of stuff.
We could
Really,
do a
we
lot of stuff because our internet is so wonderful here.
And speaking of internet, I've got the equipment to set up internet around our almost entire farm per se, and I can't set it up. So I thought it was going to be plug and play, and I just thought it was going to be simple because most everything is nowadays. This is not plug and play. It's got to be set up. Somebody a lot smarter than me. My buddy Zach, you hear me, Zach? I've been tooting your horn on this podcast, Zach. Zach over at Head Family Farm, and if y'all don't follow their channel, oh my gracious, you guys need to go check out.
They just
Zach
got
and
2
Jacqueline.
baby goats, 2 baby Nubians.
Yes, they
And-
did. And guess what else they got?
What?
An Angora rabbit.
Really?
Yes, the lady that they went to, Miss Sneed,
uh-huh.
gave Eleanor an Angora rabbit.
Oh my gracious, I didn't know that.
Full-blooded.
Oh, they're
puff
beautiful.
ball. But yeah, they just got 2 baby goats.
They did.
Yes.
They just got 2 baby goats. So y'all check them out if you love baby kids.
Yes.
Literally, Eleanor's a baby
She is
kid,
a
and they got
doll.
2 baby kids. So
She is.
they're awesome folks.
But he is a lot smarter with stuff like that than I am, and he's the one that told me what to buy.
I was fixing to tell y'all something
And
funny.
so he said that he would come over here and help me set this thing up. So I'm hoping that one day that me and him can get together and he helped me set this thing up.
So Jason was proud of himself because he ordered what he thought he needed for internet for the farm. And so he had been kind of waiting on Zach to tell him what to get.
I'm impatient, Zach.
But he thought that Zach was tied up with other things, so he said, I'll just go ahead and do it myself.
Sort it myself.
That night, if I'm not mistaken, Zach reached out to him and said, hey, man, let's see what you need to get. I got some questions to ask you about your modem, and I wasn't there during the conversation, but Jason replayed it to me, and this is what he said. He said, so, give me some feedback on what your modem is, and I'm going to tell you what you need. So Zach reached back out to Jason, said, this is what you need. Jason placed the order. He came into the camper, and he said, I just ordered what we need to have internet throughout the farm.
I did.
And I said, you told me this morning that you ordered what you needed for the farm. He said, yeah, I canceled that one. Zach told me what I needed. And so he was so giddy about it. He was like, it's coming Friday. It's going to be here Friday.
I was so excited.
So we were like, we're going to do a live Friday. We're going to go brush Moody on the live. It's just endless possibilities. So UPS runs. We go up to the gate like little kids in a candy store.
Yeah.
Get the box, go in the camper, undo it. Jason's
I get Marycarl. No, I actually hook it up. I get Marycarl. I run the wire through the window.
I asked her, I said, why is that screen off the window? She said, I had to help Daddy hook up the internet.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about
that's
of
it.
that.
I got on top of the camper, got it where it needed to go, and it's got little zip tie hooks on it. Got it hooked up there.
I mean, soon as the UPS guy left.
Soon as he left. He went in and out the driveway, and I hadn't had the box open.
I was at the house because I saw you on top of the camper, and I thought, what in the world?
Got up there, hooked it up, looked at my phone, and I didn't see it come on. I was like, what in the world? You hook it up. It's a router. It should just pop up on your phone, and it's not. You have to manually put in IP addresses and set this thing up. And
so I come back to the camper.
I just can't do that stuff
And he's
anymore.
sitting at the table, and his head's all hung down. He said, don't do anything with that box right there. And I said, why? And he said, I'm going to send it all back.
I'm sending it back.
And I said, why? And he says, too complicated. I can't do it. And I said, I don't understand. He said, well, I thought it was going to be just a simple plug-and-play thing, and it's not. And I'm going to send it back.
I'm going to send it back.
Then Zach told him he would help him install it. And then he was all giddy again, and we've just put the box on hold until we know how busy lives go. So
yes,
we're good for now.
Yes.
With our internet, we're good for now.
We're good.
Whenever Zach and Eleanor and Jacqueline want to have a fun day.
I got to tell you something funny.
What's that?
I got to tell you 2 things funny about our pals at Head Family Farm. Number one, remember last week in our podcast, we got tickled because we called them Zach and Jack.
Uh-huh.
Well, Zach let me know in high school, do you know what their nickname was? Zachlin.
Zachlin.
Jacqueline and Zach. Zachlin. I just thought that was hilarious.
I'm still loving the Zach and Jack, though.
Here's the funny story, and I asked, and she said I could tell it.
Okay.
So, they got their YouTube channel going, and it's growing pretty quick, and they got a sponsor. And usually when you're small, you'll get these upstart companies that they won't pay you money per se for an ad or whatever in your video.
They'll give you
a product.
Uh-huh.
And when you're a small channel, you get so excited because I remember it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, y'all! I remember to this day that we got the ultimate chicken coop.
Yes.
I think that may have been our first product ever, and Hoss tools.
Yes.
But
those are very exciting days, and they still are today.
Still are today. So a animal, like a chicken bedding, like, like pine shavings or whatever.
Well, coffee grounds.
Coffee grounds is what we want.
Is a
Yep.
bedding for chicken or duck or geese or whatever.
So this bedding company sent Zach and
Zachlin.
an email, I guess it was an email, saying that they had a bedding product that they would like for them to use in one of their videos, and they would give them some.
Uh-huh.
So she was like, absolutely, this is cool, yes, let's do this. And it was hemp bedding.
Uh-huh.
And so she was so excited because, hemp's renewable, it grows real fast, it's like bamboo. They get the bedding, and they just had ducks in their house, ducklings,
Uh-huh.
that had hatched out.
Uh-huh.
And she thought, well, I'm going to use the hemp bedding on the ducklings.
Uh-huh. Good idea.
Puts it in there. She said, also, we were having some family friends come over that evening for dinner.
Gotcha.
Puts the hemp bedding in with the ducklings. We all, if you don't know, but if you do know, ducklings, we know.
Ducklings ain't just...
They're nasty.
It ain't no perfume involved.
If you ever raised a duck or a gosling, if you got any, they gotta have water. So it doesn't matter what you put that water in. It's gonna be full-fledged. We're wide open. We're doing belly flops, cannonballs. We're getting in that water bowl any kind of way, and it's gonna be everywhere in our
Marycarl
burger.
says it's not the water that stinks. It's not them getting wet. It's the fact that they mix their food and their water.
Well, they do that, and she's right. That is what stinks. But
And
it's
doo-doo.
still playing.
Doo-doo, too.
Yeah, that too.
You said, and they do that.
Yeah, that's true. And they play all in it and stuff, and
It stinks.
You literally have to change it 2 to 3 times a day,
If not more.
if not more.
Oh my gracious! I can remember the days when my little girl, poor thing, she loves all things feathered, and I couldn't tell her she couldn't have the little ducks in a
Oh,
tote,
gosh.
in a room, or wherever.
Right.
Our foyer had many a duck or gosling in there.
Right.
And she promised to take care of them and clean them out. She did the best she could.
Yes.
But she couldn't get in there and get those wet shavings out and get the water hose. Not at the age she
It
was.
stinks, don't it?
Yeah, it does.
And you get it on you.
Oh, it's...
You have to wear it off. So, Jacqueline decides to use her new bedding with these baby ducks.
Good idea.
Company coming over.
Right.
Puts the bedding in.
Uh-huh.
Goes outside, does chores or whatever. They're outside folks like us. They got all these animals just like us. Doesn't think about the bedding.
Well, who would?
Who would? This is the bedding. This is a new type of bedding. It's going to be like the coffee grounds, except this is made out of hemp. Comes back in. They're getting ready for the people to come over, family, friends to come over. Have just a few minutes. Family, friends come over. They're going to jump in the shower, I guess, get ready for the friends to come over. The house literally smells entirely like Cheek and Chong. Because
The bedding smelled.
the bedding smelled like marijuana.
Oh, my gracious.
She said the entire house reeked. The
Oh, my
entire
gracious.
house.
So I guess
smelled-
it's like the coffee smell when we use the recycled coffee grounds, which smells up the entire farm when we
If you
replace
get over there to it, it
it.
will.
Will.
And
Oh
it-
my gracious.
So here she was, has family friends coming
Oh
over,
my gosh.
and their entire house smells like a head shop.
Oh my gracious. Not good.
So she gets the bedding out. She said it still stinks really bad in there. And then she has to let the neighbors or the family friends know, hey, look, we don't do any of that here. We don't do any of that.
It was just the ducks, I promise you.
I can see trying to explain that to somebody.
It wouldn't go over real easy. I wouldn't. We'd
No.
get a laugh out of it,
Oh, yeah,
but
sure.
it doesn't sound
Yeah,
like it could be
doesn't.
legit.
Yeah, sure, you got hemp bedding for your ducks.
Right.
It kind of reminded me of when I got lye in my eye from making homemade soap at 1:30 in the
Have
morning.
you ever told that story?
I have told that story. I got a lye in my eye from making homemade soap one night.
Meaning LYE, like
Yeah,
the chemical.
The chemical lye.
Like a drain cleaner.
And we ended up having to go to the emergency room. Well, do you know what one of the main chemicals in making crystal meth is?
I had no idea.
Is lye. And so I knew exactly what they were going to think.
Oh, it's after midnight and it's the middle of winter. And this man is making soap.
Sure, a 40-year-old man's making 40-year-plus-year-old man's making soap at 1:30 at night or in the morning.
Yeah, right.
Sure you are.
Sure you are. Wakes his wife up and says, Brooke, I think I need to go to the hospital.
I guess if you don't know that story, should I tell it again?
Well, the gist of it was that he was trying to
I was making homemade soap, and I was getting it to go to trace. And if you make soap, you know what I'm talking about. But you mix the lye in with the fat, and the lye breaks the fat down. And anyways, long story short, lye is, a lot of people used it, or what it was mainly used for was to unclog drains.
Unclog drains. I think you bought it at a hardware store.
It is. And it was 100% lye, which is hard to find now because of the methies.
Well, I'm sure.
And then, of course, it's really, really dangerous. It's very dangerous because it heats up instantly and it gets extremely hot.
And you knew that.
Yeah, I knew that. Well, the heat part didn't get me. The part that got me is that I wore glasses. I had my glasses on, safety glasses on, and I was done for the night. I've been fooling with this batch for hours. It would not get to the right point.
I'm sure he had to go to work the next day.
I'm sure I did. I wasn't making YouTube videos back then either. No. So got through, took my glasses off. Everything was done. Went back over there, stirred it one more time just to check it out. Everything was fine. My soap mixture was ready to start to harden. Took my spoon, tapped it on side of the bowl, and a piece, just a little bitty piece, went in my eye, and I was like, uh-oh. So I did something that when I say this, everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. We always keep vinegar by me because the vinegar neutralizes the acid. Lye is an acid. So if you get some on you, it just burns, and it'll just keep burning and burning and burning because it's an acid, and it doesn't stop. So when you pour the vinegar on you, it neutralizes it, and it keeps it, stops it from burning you. Got some in my eye. So I think immediately I went to the sink and started washing my eye, and it wasn't that much pain really. I don't remember being just, oh my gosh, I just felt like something was in my eye. And so then I was like, something's still not right. So I grabbed the vinegar and I poured the vinegar in my eye. And I know people are like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But the doctors told me that was the best thing I could have done. Because if I hadn't have done that, the lye would have kept on eating, and it probably would have ate all the way through my eyeball.
And it was your good eye.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't.
It was my bad eye.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Sorry, misleading.
But I ended up, thinking, well, maybe it's not that bad. I'm not hurting. Just feels like a little something's in it. Maybe it's okay. I didn't want to wake you up.
He probably was thinking, Brooke's going to kill me. Brooke's going to kill me.
I don't think Marycarl was born either.
I don't think so either.
So this is 12 years ago at least.
Plus, yeah.
So I go into the powder room.
Which is our little bathroom.
And I look, and there was a white spot on not my pupil, but what's outside your retina?
Your cornea?
Your cornea. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The brown part. If you're blue-eyed.
The iris?
The iris.
I don't know.
People are still typing, you dummies, it's the such and such. But there was a white spot on that, and I said, uh-oh, that's probably not good. So I Googled it, and it was like, yeah, go to the emergency room. And I was like, oh, man. So then I woke you up, told you what was going on. I told you I just Googled it. I said, it says I need to go to the emergency room. And you're like, okay. And so we went to the emergency room, got in there, and lo and behold, that's what they thought. They didn't blatantly tell me they thought I was cooking meth, but I could tell they thought I was cooking meth. And they sent a man that claimed to be a nurse in there. Never saw him again. Saw him that one time, and then after I told him my story, he left. But he came in there and said, my grandmother used to make lye soap, and I just so remember that and loved it so much. How do you make yours? And that was his test. right there. You know.
Well, I mean, what would they have done had they?
I don't know if they would have. I don't know. I don't know if they would have called the authorities. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea what they would have done.
I
don't
don't
know.
think I was allowed back there.
You were, because you don't remember sitting there.
I do remember
Yeah.
when you were in all that
Maybe
pain.
you're filling out paperwork.
Maybe
I don't know.
because you couldn't fill out paperwork.
It was just odd that this gentleman came in there,
I remember you telling me
questioned
about
me
it.
about how I made this soap, and then once I told him, he said, "Okay, great," and then just left, and I never saw him again. So I don't know. I don't know what their protocol is, but I wasn't cooking meth. I was trying to make homemade soap. It was 30 in the morning, like a normal 40-something-year-old man
In the middle of the winter.
in the middle of the winter.
I remember it was cold outside.
So what they did was, it looked like a big suction cup, and you're looking at this thing, and and they hung it up. It was like a 5-gallon bucket, is what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
And it came down.
It was like an IV kind of that was
yeah.
suction cup on
and
it.
they're gonna flush my eye out. And thought my first thinking was, is they're not putting that suction cup. It is not gonna fit. There's no way. It fits. It fits.
I
Trust
remember
me.
you just.
That was the worst part. Them getting that in my eye was horrible. And then you just sit there, and it's ice cold. The coldest cold water coming out, and it's just running all down the side, all over me. I'm soaking wet. The bed soaking wet. It was a miserable, and they did that twice.
And then they told us that we needed to go to the Callahan Eye Foundation.
Yes, they did.
Which was in Birmingham.
Yes.
At daylight.
Very first thing in the morning for us to hightail it over there.
Because
did.
they didn't know what the damage was. They weren't
They
an ophthalmologist, whatever.
Yeah. The cornea specialist, he's the one that said that pouring the vinegar was probably what helped everything, and he pulled that off like a lens. Just
Yeah. And then
crazy.
you had to go have it checked out like once a month for
Yeah.
3 months or so.
It was
and
crazy.
And then you had to do it a couple of more times.
Yep.
I mean, it was possibly a lot of damage could have been done. Well, no more lye soap. And
No
I
more lye
made
soap.
him promise me that he would never use it again.
Yeah, and I haven't never made soap anymore. I wasn't good at it anyways.
Well, I don't know that it's just you're born with a knack to make it or not.
I guess so. Cattywampus, their soap's excellent. And this is people we know. And then Laura at Simply Making It.
Does Laura use lye?
Mm-hmm. Both of them do.
Huh.
Yep. Both of them use lye. Absolutely. And both of them make goat milk soap. And
Wear
Yeah.
your goggles.
wear your goggles.
Ladies and gentlemen. Wear your goggles.
Don't take that chance.
I'm sure you told Laura that story before.
Oh, I have told her that story before. I don't know if I ever told Cattywampus that before, but told Laura that one before.
Oh, I remember I was when he was getting interested in making this soap, I would be sent on these Goodwill runs trying to find different types of molds and different things that he
Yes.
could make shapes of soap in.
That's
and
it.
I don't think you ever had a batch come out productive.
I didn't. I was not very good at it. And
Well-
back then, this was, gosh,
You didn't have
Google
any,
was
you didn't
around
have any
because I
goat
looked.
milk. Maybe
no,
that was your
I was
problem.
making out of lard.
But goat milk
Yeah.
may have been your additive you were missing.
Maybe so. I was making lard soap. Is what I was
We're going to
making.
buy our
Yeah.
soap. We ain't making no more.
We got too many friends that make great soaps.
We do. Even though we'll have all the goat's milk that a mama can produce,
Yes.
we're going to leave the lye and the soap making to the
No more lye for
professionals.
me. I don't have but one really good eye, and I need to take care of it.
Yes, you do. And I think that was probably my first thought when you woke me up. Oh, my gracious.
Oh no.
And I still was thinking to this day it was your good eye,
This
but
is my left eye. My one that
doesn't work well.
don't have great vision in it.
Don't have very good vision
Yes.
in it. But, just be careful. Wear goggles. Ross, Katie's husband,
Yes.
had a similar incident, and he was cutting some old decking off of their house
Yes.
and using a cutoff wheel, and a piece of metal got up in his eye.
And it was
and-
rusted, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was rusted.
Yeah.
And they ended up in Birmingham that night.
It got infected, didn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful with your eyes. You
Be
only get
careful with
one
your eyes.
set.
Your eye is the fastest healing organ on your body. That's why that guy could pull that lens off my eye, and it healed pretty quick. I
I
think that's
mean,
amazing.
It is amazing.
It
I mean,
is.
I'm thankful that you're okay and
Yeah.
all that, but just be protected when you're.
I learned my lesson. I can tell you that.
I remember the next time after Ross's eye healed, I gave Katie your goggles, your DeWalt goggles that I make you wear when you're doing something.
Yep. Because I say I learned my lesson. I wear safety glasses, and so I had a pair of safety glasses
That's your
on.
safety glasses
right here, regular old safety glasses on. These are like swimming goggles. These are like swimming goggles. They're completely enclosed. There's nothing that can get in your eye. What happened to me wearing safety glasses was, and I switched to these, is that I had the cutoff wheel like Ross was doing, had my safety glasses on, and a piece of metal went up under it some kind of way, some kind of crazy way, and got in my eye and scalded my eyeball. And they had to give me some antibiotics, and that's when I changed to those. These are just like swimming goggles.
I let Ross wear those. I said, Katie's not going back to Birmingham with you.
That's right.
Because you got a piece of a rusted nail in your eye, so just be careful.
Yeah, these have got a seal around it, so you can't nothing get up in there then. But yeah, thank goodness for these now.
Well, we decided about midday today that we needed. I don't know who really decided that we needed something sweet.
We went on an ice cream break.
We did, and we told y'all we went to the Frozen Goat last time, and I don't know what was going on, but we wanted to see if peaches were ready this time.
Yes, Marycarl was excited about peaches.
And I had just stopped at a fruit stand, a week ago, and they said, no, peaches won't be ready till about the 1st of June.
That's right.
And so I'd kind of given up on peaches, but I saw something where somebody local had some peaches, and I thought, if anybody's got them, Peach Park's got them.
Peach Park will have them.
Peach Park will have them. So we all got in the car, and we went to Peach Park this afternoon, and lo and behold, Marycarl got her a whole big old basket of peaches. Now, there's the little tiny ones.
Yes, because they're earlies.
They're earlies, but the flavor on those early ones is better than what you can get.
They are. They're outstanding.
Matter of fact, when we got in the car, we didn't have any napkins in the car, and she started eating them anyway.
She ate 3 before we got home.
She did, and our daddy was like, Marycarl, we don't have any napkins, baby. You're going to get it all over you. It's okay, Daddy.
It's okay, Daddy.
It's okay. And we were just like, okay, eat up.
Eat up.
But I
ate 3 of them.
I didn't intend on getting anything, but you don't go somewhere like that and not get something. So I settled for a fried pecan pie.
Well, we were in line.
Pecan pie.
And you told me, you said, what do you want? You want a cobbler? I was like, no, I want something cold. I came here for ice cream. It's 92 degrees outside right now. I don't know what the humidity, dew point, heat index is, but it feels like it's 102. And I want something cold. Got up there, and I saw the fried apple pies, and they reminded me of my great uncle that made the best fried apple pies ever. And I got a fried apple pie, but I did get a scoop of homemade vanilla ice cream on top of it.
Yes, and Marycarl got some peach ice cream in a waffle cone.
Yes.
And we sat down in there and enjoyed that, and then as soon as we got in the car with her peaches, she started eating on those.
Started eating the peaches.
Started eating the peaches. And then she showed me the seed. Did you see the seed?
I didn't see the seed.
Okay, so these are, I don't know what their proper name is. I've always called them early maize because that's just what we call them. But the little seed was teeny tiny.
Really?
Yes.
So that's a lot of meat in them.
You know, a peach has a seed like that.
Yes, stone fruit.
This seed was the size of my pinky
I'm
fingernail.
I'm going to eat one when we get done with this podcast, I'm going to tell you.
If she hadn't ate them all.
Ain't that the truth?
If she hasn't eaten them all, that girl, she will tear some fruit up.
The peaches in especially where we live now, we're right by peach farms everywhere and strawberry farms everywhere, and she's been in hog heaven with these fresh peaches and fresh strawberries. I can tell you that.
I bet you money that I've bought 8 baskets of strawberries this year. And I'm not talking about little Walmart baskets. I'm talking about these big buckets.
They're big buckets.
Big buckets.
Buckets of strawberries.
And we went by the other day, and for whatever reason, they closed early on that day. And she was like, oh, man. So we have to go back.
Let me tell you what I want you to be on the lookout for.
What?
Green plums.
Oh, I saw a post
Did
about
you?
them. Yes, and I told Marycarl.
I love green plums.
We were right next to where I saw the post for, and we should have went in.
Do any of y'all like green plums? I grew up, my daddy had planted 2 or 3 plum trees in the backyard. There was 2 of them that just get huge. And I never could let them get ripe. And my favorite is they're green, but when they was just slightly turning, just ever so
These were
pinky.
green. These were like...
Yeah. Oh, they're good. They're good.
But Jason,
They're
the
good.
post that I saw, the basket was like this. If you eat all those, you're going to be in the hospital.
You would have a bellyache, or your teeth will start hurting. One or two.
One of the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know where to get them.
Okay.
And I'll get you some in the morning.
Oh, thank you.
But another thing that we've gotten here lately, we've won one and lost one.
The watermelons.
The watermelons.
Yes.
I stopped at a fruit stand looking for the early May peaches. I don't know why I'm referring to them as early May. Somebody obviously told me that at some point.
Somebody called them that, and that's why we're saying
So
that.
I stopped at the fruit stand, and I said, I wanted to see if you had any peaches. And she said, any what? And I said, peaches. And she said, peaches don't get ripe until around June. And I thought, wonder why they call them early Mays then. But I got watermelon.
Yes.
And I said, well, no, I'm not really interested in a watermelon. She said, well, here, have a taste of it. And you and Marycarl were sitting in the car. And so she went and got she had a little refrigerator and brought me a little thing, and I tasted it, and I said, all right, I didn't come here to buy a watermelon, but I just bought a watermelon. So we get home, and of course, Marycarl, she ate the entire watermelon.
She did.
I put it in a Ziploc bag to where she could just grab it and go out of the refrigerator, and she ate the entire watermelon.
I'm going to grow watermelons next year.
Now, I can't eat refrigerated watermelon because my teeth are sensitive.
Yeah, hurts your teeth.
But when it's fresh out of the rind, I like it.
Yes.
Well, that had me a hankering for a watermelon. We didn't have any more, so I stopped at a second fruit stand.
A different one.
Because we have this tendency around here to have these fruit stands that have honor systems.
Yeah, and if you don't have correct change, it's kind of tough.
Or if all you have is a debit card or whatever, you just.
Right.
So there was nobody manning the one that I bought one from last time. That was wonderful. But we go on up the road and it's open. I was like, woohoo, I'm going to get a watermelon. So I asked the gentleman, I said, are these watermelons good? And he said, yes, ma'am, these have seeds and these are seedless. And I said, well, which one do you recommend? And he said, well, they're both good. He said, I did have a gentleman that came and bought one from me Thursday, came back Friday and bought another one of the seeded one. I said, okay, well, I'll get the seeded one. $10. Give him $10. Get home. Soon as we get home, Marycarl's chomping at the bit to cut the watermelon. I put it on the kitchen table. The moment my knife went into it, it started cracking on its own.
Yeah.
It kind of made its own crack.
Right.
I thought,
Didn't have to cut it.
I don't know if this is good or bad. The flesh of it was a little bit pinker than what I was used to.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't good.
It wasn't good, and it was grainy. Sometimes you get those real grainy ones. Yeah.
I don't know what the problem was, but Peaches said it was the best watermelon she ever ate.
It was in the video Monday.
It was in the video, and Peaches devoured it. The goslings got some of it. The chickens got some of it. So nobody was at a loss over the watermelon except for my belly and Marycarl's.
Speaking of Monday's video, that is one of my most favorite videos that I've ever made. And if you haven't watched it, you may want to go check it out. I absolutely loved that video.
What is it that you liked about it?
I like it when
it goes the whole day.
It goes the whole day. I've told you that. So it was start from the morning all the way up. Everybody was with us, and it was fairly easy to edit somewhat. I enjoy editing it. That was the other thing. I really enjoy editing it. So, you started right there first thing with us that morning. Then we get the arbors all made up and stuff. Mm-hmm. I danced 3 times in that video.
Wow.
We went to Pedals.
Right.
Talked to Jason. Came back home. And I was worried that I wasn't going to have that much footage for that video. It ended up being 33 minutes long, and I deleted the whole part of me planting sunflowers.
Really?
That would have made it 45 minutes long, I bet.
Wow.
Yeah, and then me planting the sunflowers didn't go with the narrative
I gotcha.
of the whole story of what all went on that day. So, that happens a lot. I may film a whole bunch And then when I go to edit it, I'm like, this just doesn't fit, and I won't put it in there.
Well,
And that was one of those days. It ended up being a 33-minute long video, and I loved it. It was just so much fun. Me and you had so much fun that day.
we did. I'm not going to lie to you now. It was hot.
It was hot.
We started that morning by staining those posts.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't that bad first thing. But by the time we got to the part where we were putting the arbor up, it was getting on up to around lunchtime.
Yeah.
It was hot.
It was hot.
It was hot.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be hot Wednesday and Thursday, I think.
Well, today I was kind of impressed with the temperature, the way it felt this morning, because I didn't feel like the humidity was what it has been. When we bought our garage doors, they were already pre-stained, and it was called a mahogany grain.
Yeah.
And it was walnut was the color, and they were made by Clopay.
Mm-hmm.
Clopay. And so all of our doors that we bought for the exterior were stained in a Minwax gel stain in a walnut color.
Mm-hmm.
And that matched perfectly with the garage doors.
It did.
So I decided that when we put the breezeway up, we built the porches, we do everything else that we will use Minwax semi-transparent in a walnut color. Well, I bought the stain in 1 gallon, and I stained the breezeway with it, and it started to dry, and I thought, maybe it's just the way the sun's setting. It doesn't look quite right. But I stained the entire breezeway, and then I stained all the 1x4s that went up under the porches, so that when Brant put them up, the visible part would be stained, and I wouldn't have to do it on a ladder.
Right.
That really doesn't look right. Called Jason out. Jason, what do you think about it? I think it's okay. So we went on about our business. Well, the next day, you and I were both over there, and we were looking at it, and we were like, I kept telling you, I said, Jason, I just don't think that looks right. I just don't think it looks right. Go hold one of these 1x4s that I stained up next to the door, because my concern was the posts that were going in front of these doors.
The big, huge 8x8 posts.
That were going to show that color.
Right.
And you'd be able to see the front doors, see that it did or didn't match. Well,
Right,
when you
right.
held it up, I was like, that does not look right.
No.
It does not look right. And so I was having just one more kind of hissy fit about it. I was like, oh my gracious, I have stained all of these the wrong color. What am I going to do? And Jason said, well, there's nothing we can do except for get, a bunch of samples and try it until we find the right one. So we don't live in an area where we have a Lowe's or a Home Depot. It's about 40 minutes away, and it was a Sunday. Jason had to edit a video, and I just didn't feel like going to start looking for stain that day. The next day, our paint store was going to be open, which is called Mullins Decorating Center, and the two guys that work there are just the nicest gentlemen you'll ever want to meet. I thought to myself, if anybody can help me, they can. But I also didn't know that Benjamin Moore made stain.
Right.
So I go and I have a 2x4 that I stained, and I put the gel stain on it. And I told them, I said, look, I want to match this. And they said, well, is it going on treated wood? I said, well, this is the Minwax gel stain on the treated wood. He said, I'd rather you take these splotches. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
With you.
Swatches.
Swatches, not splotches. Take them home, put them with the doors, and match the doors rather than matching this 2x4. I said, okay. He gives me this thing, and it's about like this thick.
It's probably got 2,000 different colors in it.
And if I couldn't find the right color stain in this bundle, I had done something wrong.
Right.
So I send Jason a picture of it when I leave the paint store. I was like, woohoo, I'm feeling giddy because the light at the end of the tunnel's here. So I get home, and we went through leaps and bounds to try to find the right color, and lo and behold, we did.
And it was mahogany.
The color's called mahogany.
So we got we got a garage door that's walnut, pre-finished.
Uh-huh.
Gel stain walnut, matched the pre-finished, that's walnut. And mahogany stain to match those that we're going to... It's just crazy.
It's crazy. It's just a different material, and it makes the color look different.
It did.
I mean, this color match is perfect.
And we went with a solid stain instead of the semi-transparent, which at first I wanted the semi-transparent, but after I saw it, because it's going on, you're doing 1x4s. It's not the high quality wood. It's not got all this beautiful grain work in it, and
Right.
it kind of looked bad.
It did. But besides the fact that the color was wrong, I wasn't digging the way it looked.
Yeah, I didn't dig the colors of the grain in it.
It just kind of looked kind of like I took the easy way out.
It didn't look right at all. It really didn't look right. And so the solid stain, when you put it on there, I was like, oh my gosh, because you can still actually see the grains of wood, but it's not like, I guess when you think of something staining, you think of like a beautiful piece of furniture,
Right.
and this wood's treated. It's got that
nothing
green
pretty
tint to
to
it, and so yeah, the solid stain really looked good on it.
So when we got it back, I immediately re-stained the breezeway,
Yes.
thinking the whole time I've wish I hadn't messed up the first time, but live and learn, and made a mistake and just get over it.
Right.
Did it? It went much faster than the semi-transparent. I don't know if I felt more comfortable because I
Right.
knew it was the right color or what, but it went really fast, and I was so pleased with the way it turned out that I had some stain left in my pan, and I didn't want to waste it, and I didn't want to pour it back in that 5-gallon bucket, so I went over the 1x4s that I'd messed up. I did that in record time.
Covered them right up.
Covered them right up.
It did.
And I was so thankful I wasn't going semi-transparent on top of solid, because we would have had to replace all the wood.
We would have to replace all the wood.
And so when I got finished doing that, all I could do was look at the stack that was sitting there. And I literally counted it, and it was like 86 2x6s, 43
And this
2x4s.
is all the wood that we need to stain before Brent puts the porch on, because it's a lot easier to stain that down here than it is trying to stain it all up there, and you get it on your metal and all that, because we're having open ceilings or open porches there's not going to be
There's
covered.
no finished material on the underneath.
When you look up, you're going to see the wood, and it's going to be stained.
And that's how we want it. It's
Yes.
just a farmhouse look. And all I could do was look at that stack of wood and think to myself. So the painters were there painting Mom's house, and one of them came outside, and he said, "You look like a professional." And I was like, "Thank you." Well, he went and rinsed his brushes out, and when he came back by, he said, "I have a sprayer.
Yes.
Do you want to spray them?" And I was like, "You can spray them?" And he said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, would you do it for me?" And he was like, "Sure." He said, "It won't take any time." He said, if y'all will lay them out,
And we did.
then we will stain them for you."
We moved all that stacks of, I don't know how many it was.
It was a heap of lumber.
You took the tractor, we put the forks on it, and we moved it, and we laid it all out for them. And they went over there, and he sprayed it. It took him longer to flip the lumber over, and I helped him to flip the lumber over than it did to spray it.
I'm telling you, that was one hot day when we did that. I don't even know what day it was, but I know it was hot.
And we had it in the shade pretty much.
Yeah.
But by the time they got over there
It was
and
pure
started spraying
sun.
it was pure sun.
So I am so thankful that the painters were there.
So thankful for those guys.
And secondly, he didn't have to say anything.
No.
He never had to offer to stain those things for me, and didn't want to take a dime for it.
Yes.
Just wanted to help us out.
They did our sheetrock, they did the trim, and they did the painting, and they did an excellent job on all of it, and have been just as honest and done what they get here at 7:00, and it was 6:30 when they would leave.
Yeah. And I mean, I just can't say enough about
No.
those guys. That's just saying something about your character. When you reach out to somebody
is.
and you see them struggling,
Yes.
and you know you have a better way or easier way to help them, and you do so. That's what life should be about. Just helping people.
It is. Well, I know our house is going to be a little bit more difficult to do because we're going to have the ceilings painted black. And I feel a lot comfortable with these guys because I feel like I know them now, like
Yeah.
Brent, the builder, and Greg.
Yeah.
And so I even told them, I said, "This is what I want to do." They were like,
No problem.
"No problem."
So,
Good guys. And I got to tell y'all, I know we need to go.
yeah, we do.
So we're over there.
Wow.
And
Do you know what time it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're over, and I'm helping him turn the boards over, and he said, "You got a YouTube channel?"
This was funny.
And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Who told you?" He's like, nobody told me. He said, we watch you. Our family watches you. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. He said, as soon as we pulled up here, I knew exactly where we were.
Just hard-working.
Hard-working people.
I mean, just somebody you appreciate.
Yep. Super nice. Super, super nice.
So we're glad we have good workers and kind people.
Yep.
Kind people that want to work. And just, there's so many people that
we've gotten lucky.
That don't want to do the right thing. And
we've gotten lucky.
Yep, I agree. We've gotten lucky.
Yep.
So it's time for bed.
It is. It's late.
My popcorn's calling me, by the way.
Cogcast podcast. And be looking out for the alerts for the lives on Facebook and YouTube. Y'all be good.
Well, well, well. It's another one in the books for the Cog Hill 40. Join us again next week for our next edition of the Cog Hill podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.